Giuseppe, let's see you dance a little bit.
I don't dance, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, welcome. Podcast number 25. We got a special guest today, but before we get into that, I want to let you know who our sponsor of the podcast is. Today, Bones and Marrow Broth Company, Refuel, Restore, Relax. Nutritious, delicious, local, slow and simmered sipping broth made from free-run chicken, grass-fed beef, organic veggies and herbs, and a whole lot of love. You can find them at bonesandmarrow.com, and yes, of course, they do curbside, no-contact delivery. In addition to that, we just want to let everybody know that Fit Club Media, these podcasts are now on YouTube, so if you guys want to head down over there and subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate it. While you're also doing that, while you're watching this right now, you can like, comment, and share this video. That's probably the most important thing. The more traction we get, the more we can get this message out there. Also, we have hand sanitizer from 204 Hand Sanitizer. It's going to be available here as well as Sky Convenience, which is at 25 Amy Street. Right now, you can purchase both of these. They come as a combo for $30. Bring down some cash, and you will be able to pick them up on Wednesday. Or, like I said, just go down to Amy Street, Sky Convenience. You can pick it up from our man, Umish, who's actually here today. Hello,
Just make sure
Umish.
you're with, you mentioned you're with Fit Club.
Yep, mention you're with Fit Club.
We've only got 24 packages, guys. 24 packages, and that's it.
Yeah, they will go fast. Also, CSP and my company, we've got 3 hats left. You guys have been great in helping me out with this. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want these, you guys can comment below. Let's see if we can get rid of them today. And here's a nice little thing that we got from one of our members. I'm going to read this to you. All of the coaches got it. It says, to Coach Rick, thank you for always kicking our butts and pushing us past our limits. The biscuits are gluten and dairy-free, natural sugars and fats, contains nuts and eggs. Enjoy. Love, Jess from West. So we just want to let you know that we do love gifts. Thank you very much.
Especially when they come in edible forms.
We
Today is 420, and we do have mush here.
Yeah.
I'm willing to get out of my little comfort zone today if somebody brought me a little something.
Oh, whoa.
What
This
do
could be
what do we-
history
what
right
do we
now.
got in existence?
What do you got, Umish? You're the guy. You're the guy.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Is this going to happen? You found the mic.
Yeah, we put them 80 feet away from us,
You
guys, so
found
don't
the
worry
mic.
about that.
So the man sitting next to me, to my left, I'm going to tell you a few things. He's got a very impressive resume. I'm going to give you just a few points. Back in 2006, he was the IKF World Heavyweight Muay Thai Champion. 2004, he was the ISKA North American Heavyweight Muay Thai Champion. 2003, he was also the ISKA North American Heavyweight Kickboxing Champion. 2002, a K1 North American Qualifier Champion, and the list goes on and on and on. And according to his friends, his personality reflects that of a ray of sunshine. Everybody, let me introduce you to Giuseppe DeNatale.
Woo! It's
Welcome.
so funny. He's so uncomfortable. I can hear him breathing really. He's like, he's just like, oh,
I know.
don't talk about me.
We got him out of his comfort zone. We even got him putting on those earmuffs today. You fought us completely.
He did
Gotcha.
every step of the way. Okay, I got some rapid fire questions.
All right.
Let's just
Oh.
loosen you up.
Let's
okay?
loosen him up a little bit here.
Let's loosen you up.
I'm
all
going to roll
right?
my neck here.
We'll keep it simple. Okay, so it's this or that. Would you rather be Superman or Batman?
Batman.
All right. Would you rather be strong or fast?
Strong or fast? Both.
Okay.
Can't
Okay.
pick one of those. Both.
Okay. Would you rather be 4'5", so Umish,
Yeah.
or would you rather be 7'7"?
Damn, 7'7".
Okay.
That was an easy
All right.
one.
Would you rather not be able to read or not be able to see?
Not be able to read.
All right. Weights or cardio?
Which I'm not great at, regardless.
So who cares?
Yeah.
Weights or cardio?
Cardio.
All right. Let's get in. Anderson Silva or McGregor?
Anderson, one of my all-time favorites.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Really? Did you know that before you asked that question?
I didn't.
Oh,
Nope.
Interesting.
I'm a Silva guy too. I like the hype that McGregor brings. Like, he's a very showman, so I like that element of him, the marketing piece. But Silva's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Pacquiao or Mayweather?
Skill-wise, Mayweather.
Yeah.
Heart, Pacquiao.
Yeah. So okay.
So as a fighter,
Who's winning that fight? Like, if they were to
They fought already.
if they fought till the end, like one guy goes down.
I mean, they fought already once, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mhm.
I guess that already answers that question.
Yeah.
Last one.
What do you got?
Ali or Tyson?
Ali, of course.
Good.
Really?
I'm a Tyson guy.
I'm a Tyson guy too.
And I was talking trash. So there we go.
Ali was the greatest boxer.
Yeah. Well, That's what everybody says, but I just like Mike Tyson. I like the showboaters a little bit. I just feel like they bring the fire to the industry, right? It's great to be a great fighter, and maybe you and I might disagree on this, but I feel like you need to market anything just like any business. You need to market yourself. You need to bring the fans and educate them on the fighting itself, which leads me to my first question, all right? So this is exciting. I've always wanted to get into the mind of a fighter. So when you're walking into the show, right? You're I know how they start you behind a curtain, and then all of a sudden your music comes on. How do you feel as you're walking out? The fans are going nuts. What's that feeling?
Well, if I can remember that far back, because it's been over a decade.
It's
been over a decade for me since I've done that walk, but it's an adrenaline rush, right? And you just. Yeah, I mean, all your senses are heightened, and you're preparing to do combat. Yeah. So you're preparing to throw down with someone. So you're well aware that you might take a beating. Yeah. So you got to give a beating. Yeah. So two of the things that people always say that they're most fearful of. One is public speaking. The other one is dying. Right. In my opinion, I feel like fighting is probably the scariest thing to do. So now that you've walked through the crowd, you're into the ring, and the announcements have done, and that bell has dinged. Right. So do you switch your mind, or are you just always in warrior mode? Like, what happens that very first 5 seconds once it goes down? Quiet. Real quiet.
In your mind?
Real quiet.
Oh, yeah?
You zone out and focus your eyes on your opponent. Yeah. And you don't hear anything else.
And what are you looking at? Are you looking at his eyes? Are you looking at his body? What's the game plan of a fighter? How are you positioning yourself?
Honestly, I mean, you use your peripheral vision, obviously, right? Yeah. The peripheral vision. Yeah. But I mean, what I look at, when I'm coaching, when I'm in someone's corner as a coach, what I'm looking at is their feet, their footwork, their movement, right? But in this day and age, with back then we used to watch videotapes and DVDs. Now everything's online. Mm-hmm. So when you do your research when you're fighting at a high level, you're always doing your research on your opponent. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what am I looking at? How they move, where their guard is, how high their hands are. Movement really is very important. How they're moving. So
you can tell somebody. So let's say their hands are low, or they're I don't know, maybe they're moving lateral instead of front to back. These are all little cues that will help you coach your fighter to make better decisions.
As a coach, for sure. Yeah. I mean, in a prize fight, there's always that feeling out process, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You throw a jab or a teep kick, and you see how they react. You want to pick up on their movement, their timing, their tempo, right? And you try to break up your rhythm, break up your attacks, right? Yeah. It's especially at a high level, people will sit back and you'll watch two high level fighters and they'll come out real slow because they're very tentative. They don't want to open themselves up and then get counter-punched or counter-struck or in MMA get taken down, whatever the case may be. But, there's always that feeling out process, right? It's like when you meet somebody in a nightclub, you know about that. It's like you don't just jump in for the kill right away.
Sometimes you do. I don't know. I guess you got to work through that one, right?
Well, maybe if you're a bartender. Right?
So are you constantly sizing guys up?
What do you mean?
Like now,
like right now, have you sized us up? Have you is there things that you're looking at? Like I size people up all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
No. Posture, totally.
I see a big dude, and I just imagine myself fighting him. Like,
really?
Yeah. They're just, I don't know. There's just something about it. Yeah. Like I've never professionally fought, but I fought lots back in the day, and I thought I was a good fighter until I got some like Muay Thai training stuff in Mexico one time with this guy. He brought me to this thing, and he just did all these things. I'm like, whoa, this is different fighting, man, than what I'm used to. It was intense.
No, I mean, you if you hang out with, professional fighters, competitive fighters, very chill people, very laid back and happy-go-lucky, really.
I think it depends on the fighter, though, because a lot of people like McGregor, right? So a lot of fighters, they talk a lot because that's their motivation, and if they can beat you down with the mental warfare, then they're going to step into that rink and I got you beat. I'll give you a perfect example. Kobe he always goes to the arena early. Jason Williams, this guard for the Chicago Bulls, he went in 2 hours early. Kobe was there 4 hours early. Jason Williams went in there. He started practicing on the other side. Kobe was in there, and Kobe was going through game stuff, like going hard. That night, Kobe put 40 points down, no problem. At the end of the game, Jason Williams asked him, say, dude, why were you in there working that hard before the game? He goes, because I knew you were there, and I want you to show that I'm willing to work harder, longer, and stronger than you. So it's a mental warfare.
The mental game.
Yeah.
Actually, you obviously remember George St. Pierre. One time, I remember him, they asked him, what do you do a week or a month or whatever it was? And this was really interesting, and it was very to the point. And he said, the week before the fight, I don't allow anybody that doesn't have a positive attitude, anybody who's negative in any way, including his wife or girlfriend at the time. So he would completely disconnect. He only surrounded himself with 2 or 3 or 5 guys, and that was it. How did you prepare for a big fight, say a week out? Did anything change, or was it relatively the same?
You know what is, especially when you're fighting at home. It's you train. You're in the gym 4 or 5 hours a day, and
that much,
basically, yeah, of course,
yeah,
right. A standard day of training. You do your hour of your road work, your conditioning, and then 2 to 3 hours in the gym at night.
Yeah. Are you on edge? Are you like
right now?
No.
Right now.
Before the fights, what do you find that anything can trigger you? Like he was saying, mindset. Like I imagine right before your mindset is very intense. But previous
leading
to
up to that you're going to be doing battle, right? So
yeah.
everyone's different, right? The way I was, yeah, I mean you're focused.
Yeah,
you have tunnel vision on, you're counting down the days. We're a month out. We're 25 days out. Where's my conditioning at? Yeah, and you get a little bit moody.
Yeah.
Right. You get a little bit. On edge. You can use that terminology.
Yeah.
Right. The week of a fight, I wasn't the nicest person to be around, but I mean, I really like what we're doing now. This self isolation. It's nothing new to guys who have competed in prize fighting. It's something that that fighters do.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on your own, by yourself, doing your road work by yourself, doing your bag work by yourself. I mean, it's like I always say. I always tell my these young kids that they want to be fighters. I go, you know what? Being a professional fighter is a lonely life. You got to go do your road work by yourself. Now a day and age, everyone puts their earpods in and they're listening. We didn't have that. We're gonna run around with my Discman, go do my road work with a big ass Discman.
I remember those days, the Discman, and then you'd put them in your in your pants, and it'd always fall. And
I never had
CDs
I never had buds on. I never listened to music when I did my road work. No. I didn't want to carry anything with me, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, being a professional fighter, right? It's a lonely life.
Yeah.
It is.
I always say people should treat their bodies like they're professional fighters. Now, they're maybe not putting 3-4 hours of work in the gym. So, for instance, like we do 30-minute workouts, and I 100% agreed. Like I just did my 30. I'm good. I don't need to do another one. Now, where am I going to work on in the other elements of what fitness is, right? So I'll be putting an hour into my nutrition, meaning I'm eating the right foods. I'm getting an extra hour's sleep, taking the proper supplements, like working on my flexibility, mobility. Like there's elements that instead of just putting more hours at the gym now, so a professional fighter, they have to put those hours in, right? Because they got to work on those skills. But if you're considering your lifestyle to be like a professional fighter, then there's those other key components that you need to be working on just as much as somebody would be doing road work or bag work.
Yeah, for sure. Do you enjoy punching people in the face?
Not anymore.
No.
But you talk to anyone who fought for a living, they maybe had a little bit of anger issues or
yeah.
I mean, why do people fight? Why do people fight?
That's a good question. What is the motivation? Would you say that just being angry is maybe one of the motivations for fighting in a ring, or what?
Obviously, most guys that have fought in a high level really wanted to fight, really wanted to punch and kick or choke somebody out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the anomalies that guys that just kind of fell into the sport, but for the most part, especially back in before social media, before it was cool to be a competitive fighter, right? Because now it's all about image, right? It's all about the Instagram and taking those gym selfies and whatnot. We didn't have that. you know, 20 years ago, right? So, you know, get a lot of guys, you know, especially with boxing and kickboxing back in the day, it was an outlet for young kids to keep them off the street, keep them out of trouble, keep them out of fighting in at nightclubs and in parking lots outside of nightclubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you find that that's switched now? Because we already had this discussion last week. We were saying kids just don't go to the bars anymore.
No.
So those things of staying off the streets, I think most people and their kids are already off the streets, but they're always in front of screens.
For sure, 100%. But I mean, we live in the world's a rough world, man. We live in a rough city. But I mean, traditionally boxing, especially boxing, was an outlet for a lot of kids. I mean, inner city kids with you know, maybe problems with their families and you know, a lot of kids with anger issues, and you know, and that was a good way to channel their energies. Was, you know what, bring them to a boxing gym, let them smash a heavy bag, get that aggression out, throw them in the ring, let them spar. Are they get good enough? Okay, let them compete. I mean, Mike Tyson is a perfect example of that. He was a troubled youth. He was a troubled youth. He was a fucking gangbanger.
Yeah.
You know, rolling people in New York, right?
But I feel like that's a necessity now for people that are raising their children. So I've been in the sport world. So before I started doing this, like I've been training athletes since 2004. That's how I started my whole career, and the sports. So like hockey was my thing, right? And it's too obsessive, right? So like the thought mentality is like, if you're not the best, you're not doing it, right? And what's happening right now is that if you ever sit on your phone for an extended period of time, like yesterday my son was on the phone pretty much all day. It was a Sunday. We kind of just like have a loose day. And at the end of the night, he was like very erratic, like I couldn't talk to him because he was just like screaming, and he stood in the corner and he was freaking out. And I just sat there and just watched him, like analyzing what is going on with this kid. Like what changed from yesterday when we were playing to today where he's going nuts when it's time to go to sleep. And I was like, he was on the screen all day, right? And so when you talk about outlet, like you don't have to worry about the streets anymore. I think that unless you're living inner city, but the people that are going to come to you, they have money, and their kids are not out on the streets. If they are, then you know they're not getting into the problems that we grew up with. But they need an outlet because they're sitting there and they're constantly getting fed, and they're not doing drugs, but they're getting fed with updates, which is like there's studies that show an update and a like. And this is why Instagram changed their algorithm, is because it was causing people to get depressed because of the fact that if they didn't get X amount of likes on their Instagrams, kids were killing themselves. I'm not joking.
No, they're certainly getting angry,
right?
Yep.
And they're getting angry, and that, you know, if somebody commented something wrong on their photo, they would instantly take it super personal. And so then what's the next thing is they're back on their phone. They don't, and then they're just like these like junkies, right? And they're developing junkie mentality from an early age. And so if they don't have something that is completely opposite to what they're doing, such as fighting, such as working out. I love what people ask me, when's a good time for my kid to start lifting weights? Now. Yeah. How old is he? 1? Get him lifting something.
Sure.
Why not? Because it's progressive. You know what I mean? Like teach him how to walk. That's basically that's their weight training. How do they control their own body weight? Right? I'm not saying give my kid 50s and get him to, he's not going to be able to do that. But teach him how to walk. And so parents need things like yours, like the programs that you have.
Kids need to stay active.
Yeah,
they need to burn off their energy, right?
Burn off the energy. You're giving them a goal to look forward to.
I think kids are less active now.
Oh, big time.
Because you think back when we were kids, what were we doing? Recess. Let's run outside, go kick the soccer ball around, right? Go shoot hoops.
Yep.
Right. We're sitting at school all day long waiting for our recess, and we go run outside. Right now. I don't know. I don't think kids are as active.
Did they cancel recess? Did they still have that?
I don't know.
I remember.
Well, it's going to be canceled.
Remember the participation, the different levels?
Yep.
You had to do a certain amount of chin-ups, and you'd get the get the bronze, silver. Remember they had different levels?
Yeah,
they had
I do.
The chart,
It was
participation.
awesome.
We're talking back in the 80s now, right?
Yeah. Do you remember when they had the climbing rope coming straight up with no safety mats?
I do. Yeah.
Right. But they used to give you a fit test in elementary school.
Yeah.
Right? And you got a different level.
Yeah.
It was like bronze, silver, gold, but that's gone away a long time ago, right? They used to test your fitness level in elementary school. Do you guys remember that?
I
I'm
do.
a little bit older than you.
I do.
But they used to test your fitness level in elementary school.
Yeah. Just like
So that'd be a good question for the audience. So what are, like, my kids are, well, mush.
Well,
Do you
kids
even
fight with
know?
you, right? You
So
train
what-
your
all
kids.
three- all three of them train with
What
us.
are they
Yeah.
doing in the public schools, phys ed, to, like, fitness testing? Do they still do that kind of stuff, like sit and reach? I remember doing all that. And so what are they doing in the schools today? So we got Mimi tuning in, as always. Thank you, Mimi, for following us. And I think Fabio's on here.
Umesh, can I ask you a question? So you got 3 daughters, correct?
Yes.
And they all train with Giuseppe?
They do.
What have you noticed about the progression of, let's say, their confidence just from training, doing some fighting or whatever? I don't exactly know how you train them, but have you noticed any differences in your daughters? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Like what?
Well, just the way they walk around now. The way they walk around, the way they talk to each other. Their form. What he's taught them in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Actually,
They
it's
really
a great
enjoy it?
thing for kids. Oh, they love it.
Yeah?
They love it.
Do they like-
especially my little one. The way I see her, the way she's progressing, it's really amazing. I love it.
Do you ever get them to fight at home and then bet on your own kids? Which one would win? Who would win? Just the
little one,
old-
She's definitely the bully. Yeah, she's definitely the bully.
What age would you say kids could start training with you?
Well, I mean, all kids are different, right? I always say best thing for parents to do, first exercise or first sport, swimming. Throw the kids in a pool, teach them
big
how to
time.
swim,
Big
teach
time.
them how to tumble,
Yeah.
gymnastics, right? So these are, gymnastics especially, it's universal. It's their own body weight. Yeah, they're gonna learn how to use their body, how to tumble, how to fall properly, and it's use. Gymnastics is a sport that transcends to all sports, right? So I'm not big on teaching kids. Parents want to work with their kids and teach them keep their hands up and their chin down. You can do that at 2-3 years old for sure. But putting kids in a martial arts program at 2 or 3, I don't really agree with that. I say gymnastics, soccer, right? The eye-foot coordination in soccer,
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Right? I would say in that order.
Yeah.
Swimming, gymnastics, soccer, right? Teach them how to run. Teach them how to coordinate their body. It's all about gross motor skills.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Gross motor skills.
Yep.
Teaching these kids gross motor skills. Now, 5, 6 is a good age. 7, 8 is probably a little bit better if they've played a few years of soccer, a few years of team sports. And I like taking kids at around 8 years old and teaching them how to box, how to kickbox, how to Thai box. A lot of martial arts schools, a lot of taekwondo schools will take kids a lot earlier. I don't like taking kids till about 8 years old, right? But the days of the very rigid style training, like I did when I was young, I did traditional Japanese karate from the time I was 8 years old. Having kids line up in a straight line and focusing their attention, and they can't turn their heads side to side, and you can't talk during class, and back when I was young, you looked the wrong way, or you did something that wasn't part of the dojo etiquette. You'd get the kendo stick, you get the shinai, pop. We get whacked. Oh yeah,
Whacked where?
in the legs, in the stomach, in the back, in the shoulder.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
So when did that stop?
Can you do that anymore? No?
do that anymore? Kids are
That's
different.
all Rick wants to do.
That's
You know what?
Boomish
what?
still does that at his house.
Kids are different now, though. The attention span. Kids
yeah,
don't
so
have the
short.
attention span now.
So short.
Yeah.
So can you line up a kid in a straight line and have them? I mean, you would sit in a position in a horse riding stance for half an hour and not move,
Yeah.
right?
That would
And sit
never
there.
happen now.
No,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
Right. So teaching kids how to box, how to kickbox, 5 to 8 range, but it's always best to put them in other sports before they do martial arts. I mean, parents, the way hockey parents are, kid's going to be in the NHL. My kid's gonna, it's just let them do everything. Let them evolve on their own. Let them play other sports. Let them learn what it feels like to play with other kids, because it's supposed to be fun. Sports are supposed to be fun, right? If it's not fun for kids or even adults, working out's supposed to be fun, Martial arts is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, then why are you going to do it?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on them taking breaks? Because a lot of the kids that I used to work with, it was one season on to the next season, on to the next season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I fought a lot of parents with in the summer, because that's when I did most of my stuff.
Well, look at Wayne Gretzky,
summer.
right? Wayne Gretzky played soccer in the summertime, played hockey in the winter.
Yeah.
Right? So back in the day when we were young, 30, 40, 50 years ago, there was no indoor rinks. You couldn't play hockey in the summertime. Taking breaks is great, but for something like martial arts, it's better to do a little bit, 2-3 days a week, year round, than, these, some people want to, push their kids 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and then take the summers off, right? Well, if you just end that training and then you give them a 2-3 month break and then they come back, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, right? Because your body's growing, especially as a kid, your body's growing. You got to keep that those motor skills as your body's growing. Now all of a sudden you take 3 months off, 4 months off, and you grow 2 inches over the summer. Now you come back, your center of gravity's off. Your balance is different, right? And now, you haven't maintained your skill set. You've actually gone back a little bit. So it's better to do a little bit year round as opposed to, in my opinion.
So let's relate that to what people are going through right now, right? So we've all got this brief moment in time where everybody's got to take a pause. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be, Donald Trump's obviously still working, but the majority of us, 80% of the world, not just Manitoba, has to take this brief pause.
Absolutely.
And so right now people are falling out of skills, right? So like I had a chat with the guy yesterday, and he's looking at it on a different perspective, where he's looking to get back into working again, but he doesn't want to go back to where he was working. He's like, I want to take my life to the next level. And so, but there's the other people out there that don't have that mindset, that are sitting around reading the news every second, COVID this, COVID that, oh, I'm depressed, and then they're just waiting. It's like, well, how are you going to be reintroduced to the world if you haven't even engaged in a Facebook group, or you haven't, you know what I mean, had a phone call with somebody, or did a Zoom call, or you went for a walk outside? You know what I mean? How are you going to reintroduce yourself? Or if you're in a skill set position, I'm with you every morning, 30 minutes minimum, I'm educating myself. Right? I didn't get here because I was given money. I didn't get here because my parents raised me right, dude. I got here because every day I felt like the dumbest guy in the room, and I still feel like that. But the only way I feel like I'm ahead is I'm educating myself. That's my new skill set.
You never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
I don't, but I aim to be. And the reason why is because I want to continue. That's the only way. That's what gets me up at 4 in the morning.
Why don't you want to be the smartest guy?
Because you want to always be with me. I have a lot of smart friends.
Yeah.
Right. So when I get in, like my friend Dr. Frank Albo, I have a lot of smart friends. Right. I like to be around smart people, and maybe I can absorb some of that knowledge. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but
the toughest. We'll go with that one.
No, but here's the thing, right? You always want to become better.
Yeah.
You always want to become smarter. You always want to become stronger, faster.
It doesn't matter what age, where you are in life,
But it's always good to be around, people that are. I have some wealthy friends too that I like to hang out with, right? And I can aspire. Maybe one day I'll have that kind of bankroll, right? Maybe one day I can, their smarts will rub off on me, right? So I never aspire to be the smartest guy in the room, ever, right?
I agree with you completely. The people who you surround yourself with is pretty much who you are.
Absolutely.
And if you can hang around with people who are just a little bit better than you in everything, you're right. You'll always be forced to be a little bit better.
That's
you know what I mean? So sometimes you want to be the smartest guy in the room, just not all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I was watching this video about 50 Cent, and he's saying he doesn't have conversations with people that can't bring value to the table.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like, what are you guys talking about? Don't be talking. I'm not going to call you unless you're going to bring something to the table. And he's just getting all fired up. And I was like, yeah, you should be learning something from everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You should be. You know what? I try to, the old saying, try to be better than the person you were yesterday, right? And always trying to improve yourself, get a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Read something.
And it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what I always say is you never want to compare yourself to anybody except you yesterday. That's it, because you can't, right? And especially with social media, as we're talking about it, we see the the best of the best, the most filtered people, the people that have been dieting for 365 days. They do one photo shoot. They never look like that all the time, but that's what we think, and we think we should look like that as well. Absolutely. So let's just transition this over. So you might as well let everybody know about your facility, what it's called, and what you do there.
Canadian Fighting Center, CFC.
Okay.
We're a martial arts school. Mixed martial arts is what we do. We have, I teach boxing, kickboxing, Thai boxing, 5 days a week, and we have a jiu-jitsu and MMA program. And we're temporarily shut down. We're on the southern side of the city, on Archibald in St. Boniface, and that's what we do. We have a little fight team. Right now, the only venue for amateur combat sports in Manitoba is amateur boxing. Amateur mixed martial arts, amateur kickboxing is unregulated here in Manitoba. But professional combat sports is still, it's a dying sport. It's a dying art. Not a dying art. Let me rephrase that. Professional combat sports is definitely on a decline. It's been almost 3 years since we've had a professional show in Manitoba. The last time the UFC came here was in 2017, and going back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Manitoba was a hub for kickboxing and boxing, and it's just the state of the world today. We don't have any events going on in Manitoba. Not that we can have it now, although in Florida they've said WWE is an essential service. So right now the only place that's any type of wrestling or combat sports going on is Florida, and they have wrestling going on there, and just watching wrestling without an audience is just weird.
So let me ask you this: if fighting is now on a decline, right? Of all
in Canada, yes.
Okay, in Canada, where's everybody going? Like, where do you think that? If they're not fighting, are they playing hockey? Are they playing basketball? Are they playing football?
Just the amount of events in Canada have declined from where we were at, 10, 15 years ago. We have lots of athletes training. Training in martial arts is bigger than it's ever been, but the amount of competitions in Canada, it's so tightly regulated in Canada that there's just a handful of promotions now. But in the States, it's a different animal. I mean, every state has professional and amateur combat sports, and there's events. I mean, up until this shutdown, obviously, right? There is events in every state. I couldn't count how many events.
So what's different with the regulation? Let's say from a decade ago, who stopped it?
They changed the Criminal Code of Canada changed in 2013. Section 83 of the Criminal Code changed in 2013, which, there used to be lots of underground shows, lots of unregulated shows, lots of shows on indigenous land that were unregulated. So basically the government changed the law in 2013. Prior to that, it was just the combat sports law was just geared towards boxing, so they changed the wording in there, included kickboxing and mixed martial arts. And basically, long story short, if an event is not regulated by a provincial sport body, like in this case, Sport Manitoba, it's deemed illegal. So it's in violation of Section 83 of the Criminal Code.
So back in the day, I'm pretty sure you were the one that always hosted the fights. I don't remember anybody else ever doing it. There was a fight at the, the convention center. There was, it was a cage fight. Did you promote all the cage fights as well?
Not all of them. I did a few.
Yeah.
I did a few back in the day.
So could you do that now? Or
professional, yes. As an amateur, at an amateur level, you cannot do it unless it's regulated by your province. So there's only a few provinces that regulate amateur kickboxing, amateur and mixed martial arts: Alberta, Ontario, British Columbia. The rest of Canada, there's a few provinces that I'm missing. There's maybe 5 provinces that regulate amateur combat sports.
So what would you like to see in order to bring this sport back to light and get more people interested in it?
Well, we petitioned the government. We've been working with the government up until the shutdown to have amateur MMA, amateur Thai boxing regulated in Manitoba, but everything's come to a grinding halt. Obviously, the government has bigger issues at hand.
Of course.
Right? So basically, we petitioned the government to have the Manitoba Combative Sports Commission regulate amateur combat sports, and we got a little bit of progress here right across the hall there. Kathy Cox, the Minister of Sport.
She's the Minister of Sport?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Her? Oh,
no,
yeah.
we just see her face as we walk by it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the Minister of Sport.
So is she anti-combat sports? Do you find that narrative from her?
She really wasn't aware of the situation. She wasn't, very, educated on combat sports. So we put this petition. They did a review of the Combat Sports Commission. It's a matter of public record. We've requested a copy of this review from back in October of 2019. We still haven't got our request to see a copy of this of the review. But the Manitoba Combative Sports Commission was reviewed by an independent firm last year, and the results we haven't seen yet. So there was movement to have amateur combat sports regulated in Manitoba, but like I said, it's come to a grinding halt.
Yeah. So the decision's going to lie with her or a commission?
With her input would sway it either way, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So are you impatiently waiting, or
what else can we do? We're waiting for the world to come back to normal, right?
Yeah.
The new normal.
Yeah.
This might be the new normal.
How do you think the phase is going to work? Because you're close, very close. Like us, we can easily do 6 feet apart, right? Like, how is that going to work for your business? If they say, hey, we're opening up essentials, and
you got to still
29th.
implement social distancing.
Yeah.
Right?
How would you do that, right?
You know what? I mean, you can still do, fitness martial arts, solo workouts. You can still do that. Shadow boxing, bag work, that kind of stuff. But as far as wrestling, jiu-jitsu, grappling, sparring, if we still have to implement this social distancing, you can't be within 2 meters of each other. It's going to be very difficult for anybody to do those arts that require you to grapple.
It'll just take time. Like, eventually it's going to come back to normal, but
hopefully.
The thing that it's going to affect business owners is okay, normally we would have 20, 25 people, right, per session. You're probably in and around the same. And if they're saying that you have to practice social distancing, you can, hey, all businesses are open 10, you get 10 people per session. You're like, well, that doesn't pay my rent. You know what I mean? So I'm happy that the government has now let the tenants, like, did you know that or not the tenants, but the landlords, they're giving landlord relief. Have you seen that? Yeah. So they're giving them anywhere from like 50,000 all the way up to like a couple million, depending on the property that they own. So it's just like us, right? Like, I don't know how you're doing with your wages or, getting this loan, this SERB loan or whatever it is. It's like, hey, Rick, here's the carrot. They keep moving it away from you. So, as long as there's a carrot in front of the landlords and stuff too, I think that we're all kind of getting fed along. But if they say, hey, we're allowed to open and we're expected to be earning at the same capacity, but yet we're only allowed to have X amount of people, like, we're group training. You're group training. We're group training.
Absolutely.
If there's only allowed 10 people in the building at once, like, there's... I've either got to start charging $100 a session, or it's just not going to work. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, no, who's gonna pay that?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the thing.
We're in a recession.
So,
that's the reality right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next month, 2 months, 3 months.
What's your prediction? What do you feel in your gut? What's it telling you?
We're not going to do that on air.
Just go with it, man. This is open air. This is
what
why people tune in.
When do you think we're going to be open? I personally feel May Long weekend. That's when I feel like we're going to get back to
after May Long or before.
Like May Long weekend. Well, I mean,
middle of May.
I mean, we're doing really well in Manitoba as opposed to the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I want to see these immunity tests when they come out with these tests for the antibodies and the antigens. With that's what I want to see. Right. And they want to do mass testing. I mean, yeah, you want to stick that swab 6 inches up your nose. If you're sick, I mean, what about the regular flu? No one's heard about the regular flu this year.
Mm-hmm.
No one's heard about anything anymore.
Right. So if you get sick, it's automatically you gotta jam this thing up your nose.
Yeah.
Right. So then Manitoba's tested 18,000 people or something like that.
It's almost scary to get sick right now. You're going to get looked at like a a leopard.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
you cough or sneeze. It's
like I'm scared to clear my throat. Like I have stevia in here and it puts a coating on my throat, so I'm always clearing it out. But I'm not sick. Yeah. But somebody looks at you. Like the other day, we were going for a walk, me, Rick, and Jerome, and we were spread out kind of thing. But this guy was walking on the road, and he went around this car in the mud, right? Yeah. Head down, doesn't even want to look at us.
Walked on somebody else's yard.
Walked on somebody's yard, and and I'm like, hey man, how's good morning? How's it go? And he does like, what's going to happen to me if I talk to these guys?
Yeah, it's all the fear mongering out there. Yeah, people are scared to live their lives now.
Yeah,
I mean, the reality is, it's they say 25 to 50% of the people that get this COVID-19 don't show any symptoms. They're asymptomatic, right? They're contagious, and I mean, the death rate compared to the infection rate, but there's that. How many people have had it? Didn't know they had it, so the numbers are really not accurate. There's more people that have had this that don't know they have it. So I want to see the test for the antibodies.
Have you seen any of the drive-through testing? Have you seen? No. So there's one on Main Street, right beside the
MPI building.
MPI building.
Yeah.
Anyways, which I just noticed it about 2 weeks ago, and I made a point of saying it on the podcast. And there was maybe 30 cars in there. So I've been watching this as I drive by it every day, thinking that as it's there, more and more people are going to know. Eventually, this thing is going to be lined up, and they're going to have like cops controlling the streets. Every day that I drive by there, and it's open because they post the hours, nobody's there. There's maybe a handful of cars. I'm like, if everybody is so concerned about this, why are they not utilizing this drive-through test? Like, how convenient is that?
So they should be testing you only if you're sick, right?
Right.
It's like, we're healthy. Let's go get tested. Hey, you got nothing better to do? I feel great. Let's go jam a rod up my nose.
But I'm
so
sure
is that the method? They take
know.
something, stick it up your nose?
Well, apparently they jam this rod up your nose, right?
Yeah.
But why aren't people doing it? That's all I'm saying.
You only go if you're sick.
But you're doing so. You're determining. So you're sick. You think you're sick because, of course, as soon as we get a scratch and a cough, we're sick. We Google it. We're dying, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be a way that you drive in there. They're probably going to ask you, well, do you have symptoms, right? Yeah. And then from there, they might test you or not. But the point is that there's no line even for that. So I just don't understand. I mean, we're in this epidemic. Everybody wants to know if they're dying of COVID. Yeah. We have drive-through testing, and nobody is in there. That's
go get tested and then relax.
Yeah. Like, do it. Here it is.
Yeah.
There's lots of shit going on that doesn't make sense.
I don't know. You hear one thing, and like, everybody in New York, there's millions, thousands, whatever, are dying. In Winnipeg, Manitoba, nobody's even getting tested.
Yeah.
Like, it just
I hear about it.
To me.
I don't know anybody that's gotten it. Everybody's got a story of a friend that's got a friend that had a brother that had a sister that got it, and then they recovered from it.
We have, according to the Government of Canada website, we have 35,392 as of today.
That's Canadian.
Those are
35,000 cases.
Yeah.
We have 253 in Manitoba. Confirmed cases, right?
So is that 3 new? Because I thought it was 250. No?
253. Apparently we haven't gone up in the last 2 days.
3 to 4 days,
how many people have had it, passed through their system, they know they had it. That's why I want to see when they come out with this test for the antibodies, right, to see if you're immune.
So do you think people are afraid right now of getting sick, of catching it and getting sick? Or do you think that people are afraid of now how they're going to look if they're not practicing social distancing? Because that guy walking on the other side of the street, like, that was a little bit ridiculous that he couldn't say hi. Like, he was so thrown off. But I think generally people, like me and you, Rick, we say hi to everybody. We're extroverts. It's just who we are. If I didn't know you, I would say hi to you. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, when you talk to them, they don't know how to respond. Oh, can you text me that? You know what I mean? It's like, what? What is this human
Do
contact?
I know you?
And now it's like even worse. The guy couldn't even like look us in the eye after. It's
so
like
we have 1,600.
We're not on the yard here.
1,600. According to the Government of Canada website, we have 1,611 deaths related to COVID. Right now, most of those were, elderly care homes in BC and Quebec and in Ontario. Right?
Probably underlying conditions that
Correct.
brought them to
You know, there's
near
always going to
death.
be the anomaly that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and there's different theories out there on the origins,
Yeah.
right, and how this virus is designed,
Yeah.
right, and so if you take that number, what's that percentage? Do the math, RJ.
Not a math guy.
Right? So 1,611 deaths, divide that by confirmed cases, and that'll give us our percentage.
Well,
and confirmed cases are
Look who's the smartest guy in the room all of a sudden, eh?
35,383.
Yeah.
35,383, what? That's percentage?
35,383 divided that by 1,600. What's that give us?
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
I lost you.
We're calculating the death rate.
Oh, the death rate.
Okay.
So, like, basically.
So are people afraid of dying, catching it, or looking bad? I guess that's kind of like where I'm at.
The amount of shaming that's going on is
Yeah.
actually crazy. Like, we experience it all the time. Just like yesterday, we were shooting a food video eating oysters out of a can.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy comments about it. Are those made from China?
Are those local? Yeah.
It's like, listen, this just happened. Like, we can't just redo all the infrastructure in the world
all
on how we get our
oysters are
food.
being grown in Manitoba.
But you got to put it out there to make us feel bad
Our
about
national
this.
death rate, it's at a little over 4%.
Yeah.
Right? 4%.
Yeah.
So confirmed cases in Manitoba,
Yeah.
we have, 5 deaths? 8 people in hospital? Let's lock it down for another month.
Yeah.
Right? So in Winnipeg, it's
I know.
0.01.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish it. We're going to finish
Yeah.
this up with predictions. May long weekend, this is over.
Yeah, I think by May they're going to allow things to open up the reverse order that they closed them. So if it's 10 now, it's going to be the 50 again because it went from 250 down to 100 down to 50 down to 10. So I think it's going to go 10 to 50 to 100 250 open round. It's going to be a 4 to 6 week thing.
The way I'm seeing, they're going to keep pushing it back for 2 week increments.
Yeah.
So I'll say May 15th.
May 15th?
May 15th.
All right, there you go. We got the final word.
What's the audience? Audience, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying right to the end, as always. And we want to know with your engagement, when do you think they're going to allow, let's go specific. When do you think they're going to allow Fit Club and CFC to be reopened? Please put that in the comments.
And we're going to leave it right there. All right. Thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. We appreciate it. Podcast number 25, guys.
Yeah.
Right on. That wasn't so hard.